Good morning. Welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I am Razzle 11, and you can find me on X at Razzle 11 Grinds. Going to take a look at some pitching for today. It is the 20th of April. It is Saturday. We do have an 8-game day slate, and if I'm not running out of time, I will try to grab the 6-game, I believe it is, evening slate. But I will focus primarily on this, what I would consider main slate, since most of the money on DraftKings to be won is on this slate. And as always, uh, this is both a first look at pitching and also looking at DK, since that is where a majority of my action is. On FanDuel, pitching pools tend to be a lot smaller, just because you don't have to get as creative on FanDuel with their pricing and how their scoring system works. You really want to lock in those points at the pitcher position. Also, if I do have some time at the end, I may throw in some stack ideas since I'm not going to be around much today. But let's dig in a little bit here with this pitching. Um, there isn't a ton of slam dunk options, to be honest. Uh, it's a little worrisome. Zach Gallen at the top. I definitely like Zach Gallen. I don't really like road Zach Gallen, uh, but he's made some really strong starts already this year. Had a great 2023. He's a minus 125 favorite. Game total of 8. Uh, there's a lot of things to like, uh, just in general. K prop of 5.5. I just have this road Zach Gallen thing stuck in my head. Last year he was just night and day different between home road. Um, Not a huge fan of the 108 pitches 2 starts ago. Uh, now I actually hate pitch counts and like limiting guys, but that's the way baseball is these days. Uh, so early in the season to see him, approach 110 pitches, a little bothersome, especially in just 5 innings. But uh, got an extra day of rest for his next start. Has an extra day of rest coming into this one. I think he's perfectly fine. Not sure what projected ownership looks like on him, but I certainly like him much more than Zach Eflin. I'm actually going to be somewhat high on the Yankees. I know Eflin's coming off of a strong start, but he's got a couple pretty bad ones in there as well. There's some Yankees with some good numbers against them. I happened to look at that last night. So uh, Gallen over Eflin for me here at the top. Blanco, I think he's going to carry some ownership. I do worry about his walk numbers, and it does seem like um, Washington surprises us when we kind of expect them to not. K prop is 5.5. Juice on the under. Take a look. He is a minus 180 favorite. Game total of 9. I believe there's some wind blowing in Washington. Trying to bring that up real quick on my other monitor. Yeah, in from left field at 16 miles an hour. But it has one of the highest game temps of the day. And by highest, I mean it's 67 degrees. So it's just a overall cold day of baseball. Or cool. Shouldn't say cold, but I may not really have all that much interest in Blanco. Uh, I'd have to think about that a little more. I'm just not going to be around today to go in depth and play my normal 3 to 500 lineups. So I'm just going to hand build a handful and call it a day. So Blanco might not make my pool. I think if I was MME, he'd probably be one of the last guys in, just depending. Harrison, love the kid's upside and his future. Just not going to pick on Arizona with a pitcher right now. Luzardo struggling so far this season, but I love the upside. I think we have to keep him in our pool. K prop of 5.5. It's pretty strong. Game total is just 8. He is a road dog, but at some point he's going to kind of turn it around a little bit. Last 2 starts have been against the Yankees and Braves, so um, I'm definitely interested. as I'm watching, talking about Luzardo, I see that the Cubs have dropped from a minus 180 to a 170 favorite. Um, I like the upside. I just don't think people are going to click his name. Uh, and that's something that we can benefit from if he kind of figures it out a little bit. Gavin Stone, I'm definitely interested in. Uh, Yamamoto struggled a little bit last night. The Mets definitely got some runs on the board, but I still think Gavin Stone's a pretty solid option. Uh, Not overly impressed with his price point. Strong game total, but he's a minus 185 favorite. Uh, K prop of 5.5, but juice on the over. Juice is on the under. Sorry. And we know that the Mets in general don't strike out a ton. Yamamoto had some strikeout success last night, so uh, I don't mind Stone, but I think I would just rather gamble with Luzardo in large field GPPs. Stone certainly a bit safer, I would say. Now we get into a stretch here of four pitchers that I really like on the slate. Cutter Crawford, Javier Assad, Mitch Keller, and Reese Olson. Uh, Talked about this Miami Chicago game with Assad. He's a minus 170 favorite. K prop I believe was at 5.5. Um, yeah, 5.5. Has been throwing the ball extremely well. The Marlins struggling a bit this season. Uh, I really like Assad here. Weather in Wrigley. Winds blowing in from left field at 13 miles an hour. Game time temp of about 50. It's going to be cold in that ballpark. Uh, that's one of the best ballparks to target for weather purposes, whether it be offense or pitching. Today just looks like a pitching day. So Assad over Luzardo, but I do like them both. This matchup between Cutter Crawford and Mitch Keller, definitely interesting. The Boston lineup yesterday looked pretty watered down, with Devers being out, O'Neill being out. They sat Yoshida, I believe. Keller's a minus 118 favorite in this game. Total just 8, juice on the under. And when we look at the K props for these two guys, Keller at 6.5, Cutter Crawford 5.5. I am definitely interested in this matchup, pitching wise. Crawford has been spectacular. Just one earned run allowed through 4 starts. Does have some walk issues at times, but I feel like he's a strong bet for 6 to 8Ks, I would say. I think there is upside to 8 or 9 in this matchup. So I am very interested in Cutter Crawford. On the other side, Mitch Keller, couple rough starts to begin the season, but he's bounced back the last couple. K upside definitely in this spot. Uh, I don't really know if I like the idea of Boston going super left-hand heavy though. So that might be the one of the reasons that I go a little lower on Mitch Keller. But I do love the upside in this spot for both pitchers. Reese Olson, 2 strong starts, 1 bad one. Shut down the defending World Series champions last time out. Now he takes a twin squad that's struggling, that's striking out a ton. Uh, Flaherty struck out 10, I believe, yesterday against this Minnesota squad. It's hard to not love the spot. The wind is blowing out to right field at 17 miles an hour, but it is going to be in the 40s. I believe we had wind blowing out yesterday in this matchup, and uh, starting pitchers, Ryan struggled a little bit, but uh, Flaherty definitely got there. Reese Olson's K prop 6.5, slight juice on the under, so um, going to be a good game to target for pitching as well, I do believe. Which brings up Bailey Ober as we go below these 4 guys that, if I was MME today, this would be the centralized ownership for me, with some sprinkles up top and then maybe a couple down here with Ober. Uh, K prop of 6.5 as well. A little more juice on the under than for Reese Olson. Taking a look at the line, Ober and the Twins are minus 135 favorites. Game total just 7.5 with juice on the under as well. So definitely interesting. Got absolutely lit up by Kansas City to begin the season. Shut down the Dodgers. Shut down this Detroit squad. Probably going to carry a chunk of ownership as an SP2 on this slate. Uh, of games for us. We're about 10 minutes in, so I'll fire out a couple stacks that I'm looking at. This New York Tampa Bay game, I think, is a very interesting game for game stack. Some strong BVP numbers on the Yankee side. A couple guys have pretty strong numbers against Cortez on Tampa Bay side as well. Obviously, going back to the Dodgers because I'm just always going to, even though Buto has looked pretty solid. I like the Brewers against Mikolas. Uh, and I think Arizona again against Harrison, even though I like Harrison quite a bit. So let's see if I can look at the evening slate quick to give you some ideas. A 5 gamer. All right, quick 5 game look with a Coors game involved. Uh, Coors weather wise, it's going to be 40 with winds blowing in from right field at 9 miles an hour. Super cold game, but man, it's tough to trust like a Dakota Hudson. So, I mean, Luis Castillo definitely in play for me with that pitching atmosphere against a pretty weak squad. He hasn't been overly sharp this year. Strikeouts have been fine, but he's still allowing some runs. Uh, so there's some worry there. Randy Vasquez, I'd have to look more into his minor league numbers to begin the season, but he's somebody that would intrigue me a little bit because he did show some upside with the Yankees prior to being dealt in the Juan Soto trade. But the big thing for me is playing these 3 guys here at top. Imanaga in game 2 of the doubleheader. We already talked about the weather in Wrigley. Great spot for Imanaga to continue to impress. 3 starts at the major league level. Has looked pretty solid. I don't expect him to be a big time K guy like this at the major league level, but I also do expect him to be a little better than the 3 to 4 Ks as well. So I think he's just a phenomenal option. Burns and Brios definitely. Uh, Burns hasn't been the greatest. Just 3 strikeouts in his first matchup with Kansas City, but I mean he is an ace. Um, it's 50 degrees in Kansas City. No real winds blowing out or anything. So Burns certainly an option, and Barrios has been spectacular. Really taking a step forward, which is shocking considering he's been in the league for a while. Uh, Not really a guy you expect to take leaps and bounds forward. Um, it is going to be in the mid 60s, but the wind is blowing in San Diego, so I think Barrios is certainly in play. So for this slate, I'm really looking at these 3 guys at the top with some Luis Castillo and some maybe Randy Vasquez, maybe Cole Reagans, but I just don't like the matchup. I don't really want to pick on Baltimore, but he did shut them down. Uh, so I think he can be included. I don't really want to target, Morton or Evalde in this matchup. Uh, both are named pitchers, but I still would lean more towards the bats in that one than anything. So there we have it. There's kind of some first look at pitching on 2 different slates. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us, get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, optimizers, discords, etc. I will put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's RAZ, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.